This video is designed to show you how to prime the timing belt tensioners in a Ford Explorer or the like 4.0 single overhead cam engine. These are the tensioners for the timing belt, and I found a lot of information on where they're located in the engine, how to remove them in the engine, the size, the need to prime them, but not a lot of information on how to prime them. You'll notice there's actually two holes on them. One right here at the very top, and then one at the very base. And they're not supposed to be able to be moving freely like this. They're supposed to be very tense and very solid and not able to move. But I found that even after I installed them and removed them just to check and tried to install them, I just couldn't get them solid and primed. So what I'd like to do is show how to go about priming these. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to use some regular oil and a little plastic tray here kind of as a tub to hold the oil. I'm just using 5W30 because that's what the vehicle uses. And I filled it into the tub enough to submerge my tensioner. Now again, you're going to notice this tensioner has a small hole here and an even smaller hole at the top. What I want to do is I want to compress it. And as I compress the tensioner in the oil submerged, I'm going to hold my finger over this one. What's going to happen then is, as the spring tries to push back against the tensioner, it's going to force it to suck in oil in this end. I'm going to have to do that like 5 times. So again, I'm going to compress it as it's submerged. When I let go, I don't take my thumb off of that hole. I keep that hole plugged. But as I release it, the spring wants to go back up, and in doing that, it's forced to suck in oil through this little hole. And it takes a little while to do, so let's give it a shot. All right, so the first thing I do, just kind of outside the bin to show you, is I push this down and I hold my finger over it. I'm gonna do it just like that, and the oil should go in the bottom here. You can tell I've already had this one primed and I'm redoing it, so there's a little bit of oil leakage. You'll also hear hissing as the bubbles come out of this hole. So I'm gonna put it in the bin here. Notice that bottom hole is now totally submerged. I push down, hold my finger over it. I just hold it here for a couple seconds, allowing oil to get drawn into there. And I take my thumb off. Sometimes you hear it hiss or bubble a little bit. That's an indication that there's still more air that kind of just went back in, and you're gonna have to do it again. So I'll try it again here. Again, I cover the hole, and I let it out. I found that for these smaller tensioners on the back of the engine, I had to do it 5 to 6 times to get to where oil comes out the top hole, not air. After you've done that enough times, what you're going to notice is the last thing to come out of that hole on the top is some oil, and then you're not going to be able to push it down anymore. So keep doing this over and over until there's no more air coming out that hole or going in the hole, but oil. And when you do that, you're going to realize the tensioner is really solid and you can't move it anymore, and it's primed. All right, so after doing that 5 or 6 times, I now have it primed, and the way you can tell is if you look very carefully at that small hole here, when I go to compress it, I can't compress it, and instead a small droplet of oil is coming out instead. So this is now full, it's primed. I'm gonna dry it off here in my rag. And what you're gonna notice again is I cannot push that down at all. That's as far as it goes, and it's solid and it is primed. So this is ready to be inserted into the engine at this point. All right, now the last one is these ones. These are much longer, obviously, than these, so it takes more oil, more submersion. So you have to dunk it in until where that hole is again covered. Same process. I press down, hold my finger over the hole, let it up, and as I let it up, keeping my finger over this hole, not allowing air to go back in this way, it's forced to suck in oil through the hole that on this one is just a little higher than the other one. So same process, you have to compress, hold your finger over it, allow it to draw up. These I found took a little longer, more than 5 or 6 times. I think it was about 10 times, just because there's more length, I suppose, to it. But the same process is identical, and then you end up with these primed as well when a small droplet of oil comes out that hole instead of air. Hope this is helpful. Again, this is for priming the timing belt tensioners for a Ford Explorer or the like 4.0 single overhead cam engine.